Welcome back to another video here on my second channel. We have big Minecraft Earth news, if you want to call it news. I have tons of information about what this game is going to be like. There are two big articles that I've been reading through and learning all these different things about Minecraft Earth, and I've actually taken a lot of notes. So many that I wanted to say I might repeat myself a couple of times with these notes. But first of all, let's talk about these articles. There's one on The Verge, which is whoever wrote the article playing with the game, Tom Warren, the name is here, I should have looked at that. Playing with the game, so we get their perspective from someone who's played with it, and the other one is more like a PR article on this website, Windows Central. Now this one right here has tons of little sublinks to other articles that sort of reiterate the same paragraphs and then sometimes have additional information in them as well. So I've spent a lot of time crawling through all of the articles here that are available and compiling a big list of notes to tell you all about this Minecraft Earth game, which is certainly sounding exciting. Now if you want to check out either of these articles and read them for yourself, they will be in the description box down below. What I'm doing here is like a summary of all of this that I've read and taking out the key points for you. You can see that they've got some images and stuff, but this is mostly just the same things we have already seen, screenshots from the video and the same sort of press material that's been released around this game. So there's not too much else to see in terms of images, but what I want to leave on the screen while I do all of my talking, because it's just going to be a talky video that you can listen to, is this image, because I think it really captures what I think is going to be the magical part of this game, is that you could sit down at a table with someone and you could plop a build on that table and look at it through your phones and then play together. That is what Microsoft are going for here. So let's jump into it. In my notes I've broken things down into categories. We have monetization, gameplay, playing with others, user-generated content, and then Microsoft Tech is the last little thing to talk about. And before we jump into those, I thought I'd let you know the project was previously called Project Genoa. That was its code name to keep it under wraps. It's going to have a closed beta in summer, and that will possibly just be in the United States only. And this is going to be on iOS 10 and Android 7 and above. It won't be on the Windows mobile platform because Windows hadn't developed the virtual reality tech that they needed, whereas Apple and Google had already done that. So that's why it's not on Windows. They're using the other company's technology. So into monetization, of course this is subject to change. The way it's worded in one article is a little stronger than the other, but this seems to be what they're aiming for. They want it to be a free-to-play game that doesn't have loot boxes. There's no pay to win, there's no time gating mechanics, and they're hoping that they can build a model where the money you put into the game is for cosmetics only. However, later on we might hear a little hint that you could potentially, well, actually the note is right there. Rubies could possibly be the in-game currency, which is also purchasable. So later on in my notes I mentioned rubies, and yeah, they might be a purchasable currency, but that's different in each of the two articles, so I'm just drawing things together there. Anyway, let's jump into the gameplay. The entire game is going to be built on the Bedrock engine. Your skin from Bedrock will also be available to you in Earth, so we're going to have the same skins, which you'll be able to see inside the game, but we'll come to that in a moment. So because it's built on the Bedrock engine, it means that all the redstone and water mechanics will actually work the same. So if you want to build a redstone contraption like you do in Bedrock, that's going to happen. You'll also be able to breed animals. You can do fishing if you visit actual IRL fishing locations, and it kind of sounds like you'll be able to interact with mobs and whatnot the same way you would in Bedrock edition of the game. So they kind of word Minecraft Earth as an adaptation of both creative building and survival. I think from what I've read, it's survival in terms of staying alive, gathering materials, but then building is more like creative mode, as I imagine the interface is going to not revolve around the player, but you through the virtual interface putting the blocks into the world, right? So it's going to be a little bit more like creative from that perspective. Anyway, how will you get blocks? Blocks are going to be earned through two things. One is tappables, where things just appear in the world as you go exploring, walking around, whatever. You'll tap and pick things up. And the other one are adventures. You will find adventures appearing, and these are going to be like miniature Minecraft worlds that you go into. So players are going to have health and hunger, and they'll need to eat food. And this is just part of the survival experience when going into those adventures, I believed. So yeah, based on how people talked in the article, it kind of hinted at being able to use weapons and tools, and mobs will work the same way, like creepers will be able to blow up and kill you, but by the sounds of it, just inside those adventure environments. And so inside of those, that's where you'll go and gather materials. Of course, you can get tappables by exploring, but if you go into an adventure, you'll be able to mine blocks, and it kind of suggests that you'll be able to get diamonds and things through these adventures. But you'll also be able to fall into lava and die, because they are like miniature Minecraft worlds that you go into as a challenge, and you have an adventure in there, which is pretty cool. You'll also be able to find the rare mob, the muddy pig, which they've shown us in pictures and stuff, and this muddy pig has a different texture, as we know. It also hints that it likes to jump into dirt, so if you capture this pig, it has a unique behavior. And they did ask about, will this mob, go back and forth between the two games? And yeah, no clear answer, so maybe not. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a diversion on parity, just because it gets people wanting to play the different games more, right? And that would work well in Microsoft's favor. There's going to be a level system, which is like traditional RPG games as well. They talk about being able to level up to unlock content. Maybe this means different levels of adventures to go inside of, and maybe they have more materials hidden behind them. Who knows how they're going to structure it? And then again is my note about the rubies being the in-game currency. Yeah, there was so much to write down. I made some of the same notes twice, but in the context that this one was talked about, you could also use the rubies to buy blocks and things like potions, which I found interesting. Maybe brewing isn't in there, but then again they said it's based on Bedrock, so in theory you should be able to do brewing like you do in Bedrock. So then, moving on to playing with other people. OpenStreetMap is a technology. It's actually a website as well. I didn't get to visit it when doing all of this research, but they've built the technology on this OpenStreetMap, and that allows them to put down adventures and tappables all over the global world, all over the planet in this virtual environment. And then you'll be able to play with your friends in proximity in the same location. So if you go and turn up at a park and your friends come and gather around, you'll all be in the virtual Minecraft environment together, is the idea. You'll actually be able to see the other players. If you look at them, you'll see what tools they're holding. You'll see their player name through your camera phone. It all sounds very exciting. Now, this next bit is quite a big deal. What we have are called build palettes. That's what you're sort of looking at on the screen. This is probably not an adventure, this is a build palette, and these can be up to 200 by 200 blocks, and you can place them down in the world. You can create a new build palette, and then you and your friends can interact inside of that build palette, and you'll be able to play together. You can also scale it to size, so if you want to fit it down on a little table like this, you can. If you want to blow it up big into the world, you'll be able to do that as well, and that sounds super exciting. Like, imagine building something and then being able to blow it up and walk around it, although you would be looking at it through your phone, so that's probably not quite as immersive, although maybe this will work with virtual reality headsets. Anyway, I'm getting just a little bit off track here. These build palettes can be used to share materials and trade them with your friends, because when you go into a build palette, whatever's put in there can be taken out by another player. And the article that I was reading pointed out that you could then steal these resources from your friends, but you would be standing next to them in the physical world. So we know if you go into an online environment, it's very easy for people to grief and steal because they're not actually face to face with a person, but in this context they will be, and maybe that can better our way of interacting with each other in these virtual environments, which I think is certainly something we need based on some of the behavior we see online time to time. It also talks about how you'll be able to share these build palettes with other people in a manner where it's like they're getting a copy of it that they can't keep forever. So if they go in and they grief and they burn it down, it doesn't get saved, you get to keep your own build palette, which sounds really great way of doing things. They also point out that you won't need to constantly explore and go around the world, outside looking for stuff to play the game. They want to make it so if you're not as mobile, you can still have like the same experience. So then going on to user-generated content, obviously people can build profanity and hate symbols or whatever using these blocks, and there will need to be some sort of filtering system in place because people are going to do that, and Microsoft are taking this very seriously, and they want to learn from other games like Pokemon Go, where they point out the concern that a lot of people gather in particular places for Pokemon Go, and they're going to use the open world technology to avoid that from happening, to avoid clustering people at locations to get content or another. But anyway, they talk about kids and how they want to protect them from this sort of profane content inside the game. So there's going to be a big filtering system on user generated content coming into the game itself, and there'll also be tools for parents to lock kids out and kind of like isolate them from all of that user generated content out there. So perhaps they'll be able to play in a more like seal and approved type environment where the content coming up has been approved by a moderator or something like that. So all of that sounds fantastic. And then there's a little bit more, something else that I read into a little bit. So this game is also kind of a front for Microsoft to develop their own technology, right? They will be using the data and the information coming in through the game to develop technology and develop virtual reality or augmented reality, as they call it, environments. So all of the data that you're going to have coming into them from this game will be used to develop technology for them. And one of the goals, it seems, is that they want to actually evolve all of this into holograms that persist in the real world environment. So this may mean potentially one day removing the phone from the equation and some sort of holographic machine is putting the blocks or the light for the blocks in the world so it looks like it's actually there, which is really cool. And it does say that Microsoft will be collecting data and images from the game, but it'll be anonymized. So although it's anonymized, I mean, if you know much about metadata, it doesn't take a lot to de-anonymize information to begin with, especially if you have like pictures of locations. It can be very quick to figure out who is who with multiple sets of data. But the fact is that Microsoft will use this game to collect data and images, and that, you know, data in this day and age is incredibly powerful. So it's no surprise this game could be free to play because it would have such a huge return for them to develop technology and to gather data. Now, one last thing, I halfway through making this video, I remembered I was going to put this in the thumbnail. So some news, that's the wrong thing, related to Minecraft Dungeons. Okay, I made a video on that on this channel, so you can go look at it if you want to. This is the key mob. Now, in the video I made on that, I again read through an article and talked about how there was a mob that sort of wanders after the player, but it will run away and you can actually pick it up. I'm pretty sure it is this mob right here. Kind of looks like it is based on the chicken, right? It's got those chicken feet. Then it's just a little cube with a key on its head. It's kind of cute. It's kind of adorable. That's what's going to be in the thumbnail of this video, though. And it's called the key mob. So we know about a mob in one of these games, and I've got a feeling it won't come back to the base game itself, but they do say here, wonder if it will ever be added to the base game. I don't think it will. I think it will probably stay in the Dungeons game. But anyway, that's all of the news that I've got for you, and there'll probably be more videos like this from me on this second channel right here. I do have a main channel where I make regular Minecraft content, and over here I make the news, so if either of that interests you, be sure to subscribe. But that's it from me, this video, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.